Thank you very much, Dean. And with that, we'll take a little break, so we hope you enjoy your meals.
mystic. Oh, you better watch out. You better watch out.
Hi, Santa.
Hey, hi, Santa. Hi, how are you?
Say I'm
Merry
good.
Christmas.
I think we owe a lot of thanks to our hosts, the firefighters, yes? So we're going to start the second part of our program, and we're going to start it by talking about what's on the cover of your program. So I'm wondering, what you think when you hear Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? We've heard it how many years? I'll give you a hint. From 1939 until now. And we hear this cute little song, and we see this past week it was on TV, something that was done back in the 60s. But it's not the real story. The song is, but the animated thing that we see on TV is not really the story the way it was created. So I want to share with you about the story, behind the story, and about the person who wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Not the song, but the story. So how many of you remember Paul Harvey? So as Paul Harvey would say, this is the rest of the story. So the year was 1939. There was a very successful retail operation called Montgomery Ward, which is not a store that's in existence anymore, but at the time it was big. It was big like Sears was big. It was a catalog operation and had retail stores throughout the country. So in the Chicago office, the boss thought, I have an idea. I would like to have a children's story that we can sell in our stores for this holiday season. And he talked to a man called Robert May. Robert May worked for that company in Chicago as a copywriter. So what he did was, write the descriptions of the things that are in the catalog and write advertising copy and stuff like that. And so he had a reputation for a quick wit. He was very good with a limerick. So the boss said to him, Bob, I'd like you to do this story for us. I'd like you to create something that we can kind of send throughout the country. So Robert May said, sure, I'll give it a try. Robert May, kind of a little bit like Rudolph, he felt kind of like an outcast. What he really wanted to do with his life was to write the great American novel. But he had a young family, wife and a daughter, needed a job, so this was his job at Montgomery Ward. So he wrote the story about this reindeer with a red nose, and he presents it to the boss. The boss says, can't you do anything better than that? So he said, I really want to do this story. And he talked to an illustrator who was working for Montgomery Ward, and they put together what you see actually on the front of your catalog. This is the cover of the original manuscript from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So while he was writing it, Robert's wife got sick. She got cancer, and she died, leaving him as a single dad on a copywriter's salary. The boss said to him, you don't have to do the story anymore if you don't want to. We give it to somebody else. And he said, no, I need Rudolph now more than ever. So he wrote the story. And he finished the story. And the boss accepted the story. And the story got printed that year throughout the country. More than 2 million copies of that story were sold. That's a big number, especially in 1939, right? The Great Depression was just finishing. So it was great, big success. But for Robert, he was still working on the copywriter's salary, still trying to support his daughter. He was buried in a mountain of debt from his wife's hospital bills. and he was struggling. So the CEO came to him. It was like a year or two later. And this CEO of Montgomery Ward thought maybe this whole Rudolph thing was a flash in the pan, done, time for something else. So he said, Bob, maybe you'd like to have the rights to Rudolph. And if you want, you can have that. So Robert said, okay. Robert's brother-in-law was an aspiring songwriter, just starting out and starting to get known. Robert said to him, I think I'd like to have a song done for this story that I've written. So his brother-in-law wrote the song. And I think you guys know the rest, because that song was picked up by none other than, at that time, the superstar of music was Gene Autry, the singing cowboy. He sang that song, and that year, 25 million copies of that record was sold. And Robert May never had to work again for the rest of his life. So now you know the rest of the story. And we're going to sing it. We're going to sing it. So, thank you. So I'll start off, and I think you guys will know when to come in. Okay? You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then all the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Thank you. Now we have, for your listening pleasure, Angela Kent with Green Sleeves. Thank you, that was lovely. Next we have, let me see, Cecilia, are you doing something now? That was, got it. Oh, I see the way it skips on the program. Cecilia was accompanying. Now we have Ava Cardner, who is going to play something from, let's see, Love of the Three Oranges. So next we have Randall Marshall, who unfortunately is sick today, can't be with us. So we're going to conclude with a song that we invite you to sing with us, a song that you all know. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And we're going to have piano, guitar accompaniment. Oh, yeah. So we're going to do there are a lot of verses to this. We're going to do the first verse twice. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hear you. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Woo! Thank you, everybody. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I hope everybody